Well, welcome to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for everything Star Wars. It's Thursday. It's we got drinks in our hands. It's me, Pete Flutzer, one of your hosts, and your other host, the much more talented, the more laid back Southern drawl kind of guy, my friend and yours, Nick Milky. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
We will take credit for the southern part of that. I don't know how much of the rest of that is true, but
Depends
thank
what
you
day, I
and
think. Yeah.
welcome and happy Thursday, my friend. What is happening?
Oh my goodness. Well, we had the penultimate episode of Skeleton Crew, which we're going to dig into with our friend Darth Chaco, who's going to join us a little bit later tonight. And we also want to hear from you if you're watching. We're going to put the link up. We want to get your thoughts, your hot takes, where you think the show's going, things like that, all that good stuff. We want to hear from you for sure. What else do we have going on? We have
news of the week.
We have news. We have a bunch of news stories hit this week, and some news literally just hit before we came on.
Late
so
breaking.
Get to that as well. We have super chats. We got all kinds of things. We got our friends hanging out. I see Matthew. I see Jasmine. Hello, everybody. Thanks for hanging. Great to see you all. Listen, if you're checking this out for the first time, thank you so much. If you're on Twitter and we're coming through your Twitter stream, hey, thanks for hanging out. You can come over and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you watch us on YouTube, it's a lot easier to leave us messages, super chats, whatever you want to do. And if you want to find us on all the social medias, well, we are at the SSW Network. We're on Blue Sky, and we are on Facebook, and we are on Threads, and we're on Instagram and TikTok and all of those. So check us out there. KG is here. Hi, KG. Good to see you.
And I'm sorry to say, but after a couple weeks ago when you were on and I was off and I went back and watched the show, I will never not call it Blue Ski now. It's not Blue Sky. It's straight up Blue Ski. Yep, we're on Blue Ski.
Blue Ski.
Right. Eric's in the house. What's up, brother?
Eric. We will be doing calls later. We want to get your thoughts on this latest episode, but that's all that stuff. Come to the website. Was it the sswnetwork.com? And right. I don't know. Oh, also, if you want to leave a voicemail during the show, you're too shy, you don't want to come on and talk live, you want to get your thoughts together, call that number at the top, 504-321-1501, and we'll play your call during the show.
We did it last week. Was that when it was? I forget.
Yeah, already. We actually made it work, which was pretty cool. We don't know what you're going to say. It could be crazy. So we will not take responsibility for that.
Live television, kids. It's the tightrope of live television.
Exactly. KG is saying it's beginning to feel like Hoth out there. Yeah, the entire country right now, for most part, is in a deep freeze. And then you have
my kids are out of school tomorrow because it's cold here.
That's the Alabama way.
Welcome to Alabama. We cancel weather because we cancel school because it's cold.
Yeah, and then of course we have the West Coast, which we have a lot of friends and family out in LA County dealing with. It looks like hell on earth. It is. It is horrible out there, and so
we're Nick, keeping all of them in our. Well, I was gonna say we're keeping all of them in our thoughts and prayers. We're sending all of the good force thoughts out to the relief workers, our friends, our family, the people that we know that are living out there dealing with, having to evacuate, having to get out of their homes. I checked in on our friend Maury Sterling, and he said they have the car packed. They're waiting to see, what they've got to do. But we've got lots of friends out there, so we're sending all of our thoughts your way. There's a million relief organizations that you can contribute to. We would encourage y'all to do that if you are able. If you're out on that side of the country, or even where you live locally, even if you live on the East Coast, I'm going to throw this one out there as a personal privilege. Donate blood. Find a local community blood center. Donate blood. It's one of the biggest ways that you can help out in any kind of natural disaster. Hospitals are always in need of blood, all types. Find a local organization and take 20 or 30 minutes. One single blood donation can save 3 separate lives. It's kind of a big deal. And it's not just my job, but anyhow, do that. Check it out. And for everybody that we know and love on the West Coast, our thoughts are with you for sure.
Yeah. Yep. And for it being such a, it's funny, people think after Christmas, after the holidays, things slow down, but it's, I see Matt in the chat, and I just have to mention, it's also NFL playoff season, and the Bills are playing this weekend, and the Eagles are playing. The Giants are not playing this weekend because we opted for draft picks this year, I think. So, so there's a ton going on, including a lot of news. But Nick, it just wouldn't be a SSW network show if there wasn't some form of alcohol abuse. And it is January, which means what is it?
It is Jan-Dodanuary. I do have an update. I think weather has also played into this. I did order a Jan-Dodana figure off of eBay. I think actually I ordered it last Thursday before the show. It has not arrived yet. As of now, the tracking shows that it's slated to be here on Saturday. So for the second half of Jan-Dodanuary, I will have my figure. I'll be prepared certainly for next Jan-Dodanuary because we're going to keep these good times rolling.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we do have our crazy wicked Ewok from the comic books with the crazy red eyes. He is filling in for Jan again. I have my beer. We're going to go ahead and sync him. But I'm going to throw our toast this week. And this is a little bit random, a little bit out of left field, but it's fun and it's beer. And that's what we do. I'm going to throw a toast to our friend W. Earl Brown. Earl Brown was on with us several, maybe more than a year ago. Fantastic guest. He played the Weequay Cantina proprietor in The Mandalorian. He played Dan Doherty, who's one of my favorite characters in the TV show Deadwood. He's been in a million things that you know. And he just kind of popped up in my Blueski feed here in the last couple of days, just having a refresh, saying some things. And he retweeted some like Deadwood stuff that just made me happy. So to W. Earl Brown, thank you for being an amazing actor in so many shows that we love. And for me personally, thank you for bringing some Deadwood joy into my week in the middle of a cold winter. So to all of you watching, to W. Earl Brown, happy Jan-Dodanuary. I can't say Snoke's up, so I guess we say Jan's up. And Pete, hit that drop.
An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia has demonstrated a weakness in the battle station. You're required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point.
Wow, you're getting faster at this. I can't wait to put together.
I don't know what's happening.
I can't wait to put together the full year of toast. It's going to be like
watch, like it's going to get to like started gone. Like I'm going to be that guy that you see on TikTok that like stands in the football game parking lots and bets people $100 against 20 that he can out chug them.
Yeah,
it's
you're
like his full time job.
You're going to start going to Alabama football games, and you're going to be there and just
take the show on the road.
That's right.
There's some nerd in the parking lot with Star Wars figures chugging beers for people. It's a good way to get your ass kicked in Alabama. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that will not go over extremely well. But
that's right.
So hey, we have, like we said, we got a really busy show tonight. We have Darth Chaco coming in around the bottom of the hour. We're going to do our sort of Beyond the Barrier show, but we're going to bring Darth Chaco in to hang with us, and we're also going to be putting that number in the chat with a link. The phone number's up there. Go ahead and leave a message at 504-321-1501. Tell us in the chat if you do, so that way I can make sure I catch it. But also, we're going to be going through Skeleton Crew, but we do have a bunch of news. So we're going to take a real short break, and when we come back, we're going to hit the news of the week. So hang out for more ATG Live. Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. We got Star Wars news, we got conversation, we got reviews, we got hot takes, we got all kinds of stuff. We have construction tips for if you're building your own little Star. So, like, I'll tell you, if you want to learn how not to put lights up, look at the way the studio looks here at Pete and Seed Studios. But no, we have fun. We talk Star Wars. We read your comments. We follow your comments. You can leave super chats, but we'll put up your comment anyway because we're not going to hold you to it. But hey, if you're feeling like you want to help, throw a couple bucks this way. Hey, we're not going to say
if you want to buy me an action figure to dunk in a beer next month, send your super chats. We'll make it happen.
Well, I have to ask, and maybe I should wait till next week. Maybe do an unboxing of your Jan Didania figure.
We'll do it straight from eBay. I won't open the package. We'll do it before we'll throw it unsanitized straight into that beer next week.
Who knows? Isn't it an open?
Might be the end of me, but who cares?
Yeah, look, alcohol is a cleanser. Alcohol is a cleanser.
It's fine. I've lived by that motto by a long time.
It's fine. Well, Nick, we did say there is a whole bunch of news, so why don't we get to it? Well, we are your source for all the Star Wars news of the week. And this week, James Mangold talks about Dawn of the Jedi. The new Star Wars show could be based on a fan favorite video game. Diego Luna is saying goodbye to Andor. And Skeleton Crew may be in the future of the movies. So that is a lot to get to. So let's get to our very first story here. Let's go. Well, James Mangold has been teasing the Dawn of the Jedi Star Wars film. He has shared new details about his upcoming Star Wars movie, unofficially titled Dawn of the Jedi. The film will explore an uncharted era of the Star Wars timeline set at a staggering 25,000 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. This bold departure from the Skywalker saga promises to take audiences to the very origins of the Force and its first users. In a recent interview with MovieWeb, Mangold emphasized his desire to craft a story unburdened by established lore. He said, quote, "The Star Wars movie would be taking place 25,000 years before any known Star Wars movies take place. I've always wanted to explore this area, inspired by my teenage fascination with the franchise. I'm not interested in being handcuffed by so much lore that is immovable." Mangold is collaborating with Beau Willimon, known for his work on Andor, to develop a script that brings fresh perspectives to the beloved galaxy. The duo aims to create a narrative that embodies the franchise's emotional core while offering something entirely original. By tapping into the freedom of this untapped timeline, Mangold hopes to recapture the pioneering spirit of George Lucas's original vision. Whether Dawn of the Jedi will move into production remains uncertain, but Mangold's enthusiasm, as it appears to be sparking the excitement among fans eager to explore the ancient mysteries of the Star Wars universe. Nick, I love the comment because I think it says a lot about where Star Wars is now, where he says he does not want to be handcuffed by the current lore. Do you see it as a problem? Do you see it as, what's your thoughts on that as a comment and as a starting place for a movie?
I wholeheartedly understand where he's coming from. We've spent so much time in the Disney Plus era, certainly listening to people complain about, well, it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not my Star Wars. It's not like 1977. It's not like 1980. It's not like whatever the hell. So yes, who doesn't want a clean slate? Who doesn't want no rules? Who doesn't want to go in and just tell a story? Like, that's what storytellers do. That's ultimately where it goes. Here's where I come down on it personally at the moment. And I can't wait. And of course, day one, I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to come to New Jersey and go watch it with you, whatever. But in this exact moment, there's a part of me that goes, do I care? Because it's not anything I know. And so it feels to me, if I'm going into a Star Wars story that's literally before the Jedi, like it's the origins of the Force, I'm sure there's something cool there. But at this moment, it might as well be Dune, which I've never really watched and I don't really care about. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And I wholeheartedly, from a storyteller creative standpoint, understand exactly where he's come from. Let me tell a story without restrictions. Yes. As a fan right now, I'm very nonplussed by it because I simply go, I don't know anything. So there's nothing for me to be excited about.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because it's funny you say that, because that, I think literally other than episode seven, I think that's the way I felt about everything that Disney has announced, right? Is like, oh, do I need a story about a Mandalorian bounty? Maybe. I don't know. Oh my God, that was amazing. Do I need to see Obi-Wan Kenobi's story on Tatooine? No, not really. Oh, wow, that was great, right? So Skeleton Crew is probably the best example of a story that, based purely on description, I was like, I don't know. I'm not that excited.
Maybe.
And honestly, now I cannot tell you how disappointed I am that next week is the season finale.
Over.
So
yeah.
But that seems to be a common theme among the Star Wars stuff that we've gotten over the last couple of years. So
I will agree with that. I think
point.
the biggest difference is, like, I know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. I knew who Boba Fett was. I didn't necessarily feel like I needed that story. I didn't know who the Mandalorian was, but I knew who Mandalorians were.
Sure.
So this feels like we're going completely outside the frame of anything. I mean, if we're saying before the Jedi, the origins of the Force, the only thing I know is what the Force is.
Right. What the Force. Maybe that should be the name of the film. What the Force.
I hope it is.
WTF.
What the Force, a Star Wars story.
Awesome.
That moves us on to our next story. Let me get our banner going on here. Knights of the Old Republic series is rumored to be in development at Lucasfilm. As the new year begins, speculation about Star Wars projects continues to swirl, or I would say is always swirling. Industry insider Daniel Rickman recently claimed on his Patreon that a new Star Wars series set during the Knights of the Old Republic era is in development at Lucasfilm. The potential series would explore a timeline set 4,000 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire, far removed from other upcoming projects like the Acolyte. The KOTOR era, as made famous by BioWare's beloved 2003 video game, remains a fan favorite corner of Star Wars lore. However, Rickman clarified the rumored series would not necessarily adapt the game's storyline, but instead would take place in that same distant past. While exciting, such rumors should be approached with caution. Lucasfilm is reportedly juggling multiple ideas for future Disney Plus content. As recently as mid-2024, insiders suggested the studio was exploring new series concepts, and Disney executive Alan Bergman hinted at the possibility in an interview with Vulture. Lucasfilm's immediate slate includes Ahsoka Season 2, currently in pre-production, and Andor Season 2, slated for an April 22nd release. With Star Wars Celebration on the horizon, fans might see a splashy announcement about future projects, potentially including one set in the Old Republic. Meanwhile, updates on the KOTOR game remake remain elusive. Announced 3 years ago, the game has switched developers and faced delays, leaving fans eager for more news in 2025. For now, the galaxy, especially as relates to Knights of the Old Republic, remains full of possibilities. Pete, here's my question for you in regards to the news story. A Knights of the Old Republic series, is that a boom or is that a bust? Because we know a million people who love that game. It goes back to like Shadows of the Empire and old school, old EU days. Is that something that's going to be a home run because there's a huge pocket of KOTOR people that want it? Or is it going to be a bust because there's people like me who the only experience I have is I tried to play it on my iPhone a couple of years ago and got frustrated and gave it up and don't really have a connection with it. And even as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I'll go, I don't know. Where do you come down on KOTOR as a TV show?
Well, so it's interesting because we're talking about how most things that we hear about, we go, sounds interesting. Maybe it'll work. Here's my hot take on the Knights of the Old Republic game show. Should it happen? And I'm not even sure that it would actually happen. I think it's I think this is a rumor that's coming out from people who want it. I don't think it's necessarily something that we would definitely get. I also feel like I almost hope they do it, and I hope it's as successful as the Acolyte. I mean that in the most obnoxious way possible, because I don't think a lot of people are going to care. Right? When we think about and we think again, I'm always talking about sort of that bolus, that main sort of center section of Star Wars fans, the people who are going to Disney World, the people who are buying Grogu shirts, the people who are doing those sort of basic things. I don't think they're going to care. It also depends greatly on who puts it together and who's responsible for it and how it's done. They're toying with Knights of the Old Republic and the first Jedi from 25,000 years before. I think this is a dangerous place, because I think if you look at what sells, if you look at what the common fan likes, it's the Luke Skywalkers, it's the Grogus, it's the Mandos. It's not the High Republic, and it's not even Rey and Ren. I hate to say it. So it's as Chris says right there on the screen, it's a huge gamble. and I'm not sure that I don't think it would pay off.
And he follows that up too. He says, unless it's a series of cutscenes with zero dialogue and all action and lightsabers flying all over the place, those fans will probably hate it.
Well, that's just it too, right? Because this is one of those danger zones, right? It's like if they tried to do the the one of the old EU books, it would not satisfy the fans. Trying to do this, there's people who are probably already, they've got their YouTube channel all set to go and start destroying this before.
And sometimes it's okay to leave something alone. I mean, I love the original Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy. It's one of my it's probably my favorite Star Wars book or books, period, end of sentence. It's not technically canon. I know we have Thrawn, I know we have whatever. But if they said, hey, we're going to remake that into a show or a movie, I'd be like, no, thanks. Like, I don't think I want that. Like, let me have it where I found it when I was in 7th grade or 8th grade or whenever it came out. Like, let that one live there, and let's go in that new direction that I've already said I'm not sure about, which is James Mangold's movie.
100%. I'm with you on that completely.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's keep going. There is a ton of news, and Diego Luna at Sunday's Golden Globes, he offered fans a bittersweet update about the second and final season of Andor. While attending the ceremony for his nomination for Best Supporting Actor in Hulu's La Machina, Luna expressed mixed emotions about wrapping up the Star Wars series. He said, quote, "It's the last season. It's the end," Luna said, adding, "But I'm excited for the audiences to watch. It's been a long journey. It's cool." It's hard to read that without hearing it in Diego's voice. He does it so much better. He could read the phone book and I'd be like, that guy's cool. He's just got that. Anyway, season 2 of Andor is set to premiere on April 22nd, just 2 days after the conclusion of Star Wars Celebration. Fans are speculating that the event may include a special screening. While Disney has yet to confirm, recent Star Wars premieres suggest at least a 2-episode drop to kick things off. Returning cast members include Luna as Cassian Andor, Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Denise Go, and Kyle Soller. Season 2 will also see the return of Ben Mendelsohn as Orson Krennic, yes, and Alan Tudyk as K2SO, yes. Tony Gilroy remains the lead writer, joined by Beau Willimon, Dan Gilroy, and Tom Bissell. Directing duties will shift to Ariel Kleinman, Janice Metz, and Alonso Ruzi Palacios. Sorry, Alonso, if you ever come on the show, you can teach me how to say your name. As Andor prepares for its climactic run, Luna's heartfelt words echo the anticipation of fans eager to see the rebellion's next chapter. Nick, we know this is, there's a lot riding on this. As far as we know, it's the first time other than the prequels, where we know where the series is heading. We know where the last episode is going to go. Does that put too much pressure on the rest of the story to remain interesting, knowing that we know that essentially we're going to run this right up to Cassian shooting his partner in the back on the Rings of Kafrene? Or what's at stake as far as telling this story?
I think it's a good thing. And I hope that for the creators and for the writers and for the Willimons and the Gilroys and the everybody that's involved in the creation of this show, which the first season is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I hope it's kind of a breath of fresh air, kind of like James Mangold wanting to step outside of like most of the pre-existing structures. This is my biggest complaint with Lost all those years ago. It felt like Lost took off. It was great at the beginning, and they didn't know how they were going to land that plane, pun intended.
Literally. Yeah.
And I think with this, we know where this story, the freaking Rogue One movie ends 30 seconds before New Hope starts.
Right.
We know where this story ends. We know where this goes. So all you have to do is take a deep breath and fill in the middle. And I hope that is something that allows these creators to go, look what we get to do. And we get to plug in K2. We get to plug in Krennic. We get to, plant some little seeds. Yeah, same thing. Matt's exactly right. We knew where Rogue One was going, and it was still awesome. So I think it's a good thing. And I wish we had the ability for more of our Star Wars stories to maybe open up that space to fill in some middle ground.
And I wonder if that's why Andor is so well put together, and we'll get to it a little bit when we get to our skeleton crew discussion at the bottom of the hour with Darth Chaco joining us. But that's a problem for a lot of streaming series, is they tend to leave every single episode so wide or every season so wide open in the event that they are renewed. And if the problem is when they're not renewed, It's just this big dangling story part that just isn't there. So I think that's one of the things that probably benefits Andor is there is a clear finish line, and they're headed right toward it.
Yeah. Hot take. Everything should end like The Sopranos did. Leave it wide open. Go one way, go the other way. I do too. I think it's perfect.
Anybody who complains about it doesn't get The Sopranos. I'm just saying it.
That's right.
I'm saying it now.
David Chase said it. You know, all you got to do is go look up his interviews. He'll tell you what happened.
He'll tell you. That's right.
Well, we've got one more story, and then we kind of have a tag-on story after that broke late this afternoon. But coming up next, I did it again. Let me get my banner going on here. Rumor suggests that Skeleton Crew characters are going to appear in Dave Filoni's Star Wars crossover film. A new report, also from industry insider Daniel Rickman, hints that characters from Skeleton Crew may feature in Dave Filoni's upcoming New Republic Star Wars movie. If Skeleton Crew's characters join the Filoni vision of interconnected stories from The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Book of Boba Fett, while Rickman did not specify which characters might appear, speculation points to the show's main cast, including the titular kids, the Skeleton Crew themselves, and Jad Na'Nawad. The series, which has yet to conclude its storyline, also introduces several intriguing supporting characters whose arcs could connect to the broader Star Wars narrative. Filoni's film is expected to focus on Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was recently reintroduced in Ahsoka. The Imperial warlord is rallying remnants of the Empire to challenge the New Republic, potentially setting the stage for a major showdown. Skeleton Crew's mysteries, such as the true identity of Jad Na'Nawad and the dark secrets of the planet At-Aten, could tie into this overarching conflict. The quote-unquote Mandoverse shows, including The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, have already established Thrawn's significance through the Shadow Council, a group of Imperial loyalists aiming to restore the Empire. If Skeleton Crew's characters join Filoni's crossover, they may find themselves drawn into the escalating battle between the New Republic and those Imperial remnants, paving the way for connections to the rise of the First Order that we see in the sequel trilogy. Pete,
yes,
we talked about this and we texted about this story earlier today, and I kind of spouted off right off the bat, you know, put them kids in that movie, and you said it's interesting that you went to the kids, because I think your mind, when you saw this, went another direction. What do you see as the connecting point between Skeleton Crew and this possible Filoni movie?
Well, so much depends on how Skeleton Crew ends next week, of course, and we'll talk about sort of my big idea as to how I think it's going to end. But I think the planet At-Aten could play a part in it. I don't necessarily think it's the kids. I think somehow, you know, the pirates have always played a part in the dark underworld of Star Wars, and don't put it past Thrawn to engage with pirates and find out where At-Aten is, and perhaps it becomes sort of a major battleground, because you know, Thrawn is all about fighting for budget, right? I mean, we saw it in Rebels, and we saw it him versus Krennic. We saw a little bit of just sort of the Imperial financial battles during Bad Batch. So I wouldn't be surprised if At-Aten becomes kind of a target for Thrawn, and perhaps the focus of a major battle. Who survives it? I'll just put a little tease and say, wait till you hear my theory as to how Skeleton Crew ends in our next segment. But I think it will be one of the kids, and I think a familiar ship will be involved. That's my theory. What is your thought on bringing those? I think part of the problem too is they're going to be getting older. We're going to have a Stranger Things issue happening. So,
yeah, I mean, on the surface, my reaction is the main characters of the show are the kids. Mm-hmm. And so when it's, you know, I see a headline that says Skeleton Crew characters in Mando movie, or, you know, Filoni movie, automatically just go to the kids. I don't know that makes the most sense. I think you're, you know, exactly right. I think, you know, the bigger picture of, we're yet to find out, you know, who the supervisor is. And, you know, I mean, the Great Eyes, as I've taken to calling them, you know, I think the banking, the funding, we've said that kind of from the beginning, is this the planet that's funding Palpatine's return? You know, those kinds of things. Speaking of that, sometimes returns just to piss off Pete. So I don't know. We're going to see. But obviously it could go any number of ways.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
There it is. I'm going to throw this one up. This is kind of our bonus news story tonight before we jump into talking Skeleton Crew.
got a bumper for all this shit. I'm ready for anything. Bring it. Bring the news.
Matt said it in the chat. He said, "Did you hear that the Hound from the Game of Thrones is going to carry on Ray Stevenson's character in Ahsoka?"
Yep.
You sent this to me like 25 minutes before we jumped on the air.
Yep.
Where did this come from? I know you sent
it came from Snyder again. I think it came from the Snyder. He's and he hasn't been wrong, generally speaking. Yeah, it came from the Snyder. The story is that Rory McCann will reportedly take over the role of Balin Skull from the late Ray Stevenson in season 2. Yep.
I love Rory McCann. I love his character in Game of Thrones. Is one of my top probably 3 characters in the entire show. I'm excited to see what that could look like. I know we've done a little bit of speculating, certainly when we heard Ray Stevenson died and knew that there was some more, ground for that character to cover. I mean, obviously, if they're not going to cast you to take over as Balin Skull, then, beyond that, I don't know. There are probably lots of, face lookalikes that could do it.
We could do
hit him up, Disney, give him a call.
I'm right.
But I like Rory McCann as an actor, so I'm interested to see, and sometimes those things happen. We've had, Dumbledore got replaced in some of the movies.
Yep.
You had Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones got replaced, the Night King. Like these things happen. It's not, obviously it's not always as sad as somebody dying like Ray Stevenson did. But you know what? If he's a good actor and can embody, what the character is, it doesn't matter if he looks exactly like him. You can put a gray beard on most everybody and make some magic happen. So
yes, again, I'm here if he doesn't work out. I told you, Nick, before we got on, the funny thing about that is I finally felt like when I saw Ray Stevenson, I was like, finally somebody I can cosplay.
Yep.
And then the funny part was a couple years ago, I really tried to talk my daughter into letting me be the Hound and letting her be Maisie Williams' character in for Halloween, but she wouldn't have it. Probably because she couldn't watch the show. She didn't know how cool that would have been.
She didn't know. Yeah, she had no idea.
She had no idea. Well, that wraps it up for the news tonight. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be doing our Beyond the Barrier with very special guest, Mr. Darth Chaco. So we're going to be right back with more ATG Live in just a minute.
What's up, my fellow Gen X Star Wars fam? My name is Chris Rhines from Broaxium. You may know me from ATG's Force Connect that I co-hosted with Pete and Nick. Now, I'm the owner and operator of Broaxium Outpost, an online shop for all your action figure and collectibles needs like Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection, Transformers Studio Series, Star Wars action figures, Masters of the Universe, and much, much more, including Star Wars action. Alright, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff, I'm just saying. Stop by and check out the store at www.broaxiumoutpost.com. Sign up to become a part of the Bounty Hunters Guild and stay updated on new pre-orders, sales, and exclusive Broaxium content. Find something you like? Use the promo code ATG5 for 5% off your first order. We have Star Wars figures, by the way.
Look, we've said it before. It's like Chris, let's make a shirt of this. I want the Broaxium .com logo, Broaxium Outpost, and I want to say you're gonna buy the shit anyway. Buy it from somebody cool. So just order your stuff up from
throw a QR on the back. Let people stand in line at Target, mad that somebody swiped in and took it.
Exactly.
Bro, scan my shirt. Buy it.
And we've seen the horror stories of people ordering stuff from Target and Walmart and getting these packages that look like they were run through the trash compactor. Boom. Buy it there. Yep. All right, we are going to go. I'm going to switch this over here, and we're going to switch over to our show, which we have done on occasion, which is Beyond the Barrier. Here we go. Well, ahoy there, Star Wars adventurers, and welcome to our 4th episode. I know it's the 7th episode of the show, but it's our 4th episode of Beyond the Barrier, where we explore the mysteries of Skeleton Crew. I'm one of your hosts, Pete Fletcher, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and Star Wars first mate, Mr. Nick Milkey. Every couple of weeks, we're going to chart a course through the twists, turns, and treasures of the Disney Plus Star Wars series, and tonight we're going to be joined by our friend, Darth Chaco. I will bring him in now. How are you doing, Chaco?
I'm doing great. Can you guys hear me okay? Do I sound good?
Yes.
You sound a little choppy, but we got you. We can see you.
Okay. I apologize. I my internet's down. I'm just phoning it right now. So
are you close to LA? You're out in that? Are you in that area?
Actually, so my dad, Element 7, he's the one that's actually close to the fires and stuff. I'm in San Diego, so I'm safe. But yeah, definitely shout out and prayers for everyone who's over there.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, Nick. Well, let's continue, and we'll Chaco, just having you here is good enough. I don't care if it's choppy. We love having you with us for tonight's conversation. So go for it, Nick.
Right. I hold on. I lost my page here. This is how professional we are. Yes. So we're going to jump in. We are going to have we're breaking down episode 7 titled "We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble." It's a fantastic show lined up, and there's a bunch of stuff on deck.
Right. First of all, we are going to be joined by Chaco and Nick. First of all, then we're going to have the scuttlebutt, and then we're going to kick things over to which is basically we kick off with our sort of one-word reactions to the episode, and then we set the stage for what's to come.
That's right. After we do that, we're going to hit plotting the course. We're going to map out the major story beats. We're going to kind of go through the story, talk about what happened, the things that stood out the most to us. And then from there, Pete, where do we go?
Well, then we go into some buried treasure where we uncover some different Easter eggs and references and some hidden details that even the sharpest fans like Darth Chaco here might have missed, but I'm pretty sure he'll have gotten most of the ones that we got.
That's right. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with buckos and codgers, some great pirate terms. We want to pass the mic to you guys. We're going to do call-ins. We're bringing back calls on ATG Live every week. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, your theories, your thoughts on our thoughts and theories. So it's your time to shine. You can click that link. You'll join us live on screen for a minute. Or if you're not comfortable doing that, like Pete said, we've got the voicemail at the top of the screen. Give us a call. Let us know in the chat that you left a message, and we can pull that up and hear your thoughts as well.
Absolutely. So if you're catching this on the podcast feed, well, you're missing out on the live action. Join us live every Thursday night for ATG Live. Not only can you be part of the fun real time, but as Nick just said, you can call in and be part of the fun.
Absolutely. And there is one warning we have to give. I've done this every time we've done Beyond the Barrier.
Yes.
Let me clear my throat. Let me get ready.
Do it.
Be warned, there be spoilers here. That's the best pirate I can give you. We are digging into the plot. We are digging into the details, speculation. If you haven't watched episode 7 yet, take a break, go watch it, come back. You can find us on the replay. We love that you're here, but we don't want to spoil anything if you're ready to, enjoy it for the first time yourself.
Absolutely. So grab your maps and raise your solar sails, and let's set course for adventure. So, Chaco, we do this thing before we even get into the plot of the episode, before we get into some of the things that struck us. We give a little sort of one-word sort of reaction to the episode. If you want to go first, we can throw it to you, Chaco. What was your one-word sort of thing? It can be a hyphenated word. It can be a hashtag. I got away with hashtag a couple of weeks ago. I was kind of cheating, but I did it that way. But what's your sort of your one-word kind of reaction to the show?
One word reaction is it's one word, but I have to say it twice. It's Jod. Jod.
I love that. That is I think so many people were feeling that way, and after we get through the plot of the episode, I definitely want to dig into that concept. Like it's so funny to watch social media respond to Jod Nanawood in this particular episode, and I can definitely get behind that one. Nick, what's your one-word response?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this a little bit, and this is always like, for all the things that we've done on the show over the years, for some reason, the one-word response is the thing that catches me out the most. And I'm like, I have too many words to just use one word. I'm going to say, I think my one word was pensive. Like they left me hanging right there on the edge, obviously the way the episode ends, and they've done that several times, several of them ended with like the saber coming on, the whatever, but like I'm thinking, and I'm in my head on this episode, especially a bunch, because we kind of had a little bit of a lead of, are we going to hear more about his backstory? Like it's a lot of thinking involved in this one, which then puts me headlong into thinking about the next one.
Yeah, I think pensive is a great word. I think it's sort of along the lines of what I'm thinking. I couldn't think of the right word because it's The only word I can think of doesn't come across right, and that word is disappointed. And it's not in the episode, it's not in the show, it's not in where it is. It's just disappointed that it's going to end. I feel like we're just hitting this great peak. It's like when you're sitting in a movie and suddenly those credits come up and you're like, oh man, that was great. I need more. So
it was another moment where, and we've lamented this certainly a bunch of times with a lot of the Disney Plus shows, but it was that moment where I lamented the fact that like we've gotten into this 8-episode TV show thing.
Yeah.
Like what happened to 22 episode shows? What happened to 12 and 14 episode shows? Chaco, I see you, agreeing with that. Chime in.
This is, I mean, it's my number one gripe with the way these streaming services have been providing media. It's that they hit the zone, and what you want to do is maximize your time in the zone. You have the story arc, and then this high end. Give me 3 episodes in that zone. You hit the sweet spot. The problem is there's no fat. Right? These scripts are so lean and mean that they give us only what we need for only as long as we need it, and we need that extra. We need that fat.
I think that's why animation.
The fat is where the flavor is.
Exactly. Hey, as somebody who loves to barbecue and grill and smoke stuff, I know that's where the good stuff is. But I think that's why animation has been more successful, is because it doesn't cost as much. So you can spend 3-episode arc, like Clone Wars mastered that, right? Going from you a story literally ended and then another one came, and you knew you were going to be spending the next 3 to 4 weeks in whatever that was. This, you're just getting going and it kind of hits. So, but speaking of getting going and it hits and what that story is, let's plot the course and talk about what this episode gave us.
All right, well, we are going to jump in with plotting the course. We're going to do a quick recap of this episode, which, as we said, is entitled We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble. This was directed by Lee Isaac Chung. We had a runtime of 37 minutes, and the official Disney Plus description reads, "Our heroes have never felt further from home," which obviously there's some great irony in that. So we open this episode at night beneath the green glow of the barrier. KB's parents, Gary and Mary, I love that that's their names. There's no way around that. Farah, who is Fern's mom, Wendell, and Numa, they risk everything. They're sending a message to their kids. They've got stolen barrier codes. We saw that in the last episode, the transmitter. The group faces off against relentless security droids. The parent sacrifices themselves to pass the device forward. It was felt like a football game, like a high school football, like we're lateraling that ball. We're trying to keep it going. We're trying to get to the end zone.
It was literally the Fumblerooski scene from Little Giants.
Correct. That's exactly what it is. The Fumblerooski scene from Little Giants, which maybe that was a callback to the, a 90s movie that we didn't know we needed. And then Farah, in a nail-biting moment, managed to launch the communication buoy into the sky, and though captured, their message is on its way. So, in this, we've got those vintage throwback vibes. Certainly that's a great one. It did to me feel very, sports movie like. Football is what I went to. Pete, I know you said this. Those flashlights in the forest. That's the most ET thing that we've seen. Other than at the beginning when they're being chased through the forest.
Yep.
Chaco, in this opening scene, what grabbed you in that quick moment?
Definitely the ET vibes, but like I said, during our live reaction, I said, yeah, this is the Fumblerooski. The show's doing nostalgia right, where it's not too on the nose. If you know, you know. If you don't know, it doesn't feel unnatural. But this opening scene and just showing, I don't know why there's a lot of media where parents don't really care about their kids, and so it was just heartwarming to have to have this.
Pete, I can't hear you.
Yep, I muted.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay.
I was sick and tired.
Making sure it wasn't me.
But no, it was. I agree, and I think it was the ET vibes for me. And then somebody pointed out that the little buoy almost looked like ET's ship at the end of it as well. So, but the story continued on the Onyx Cinder, where the kids, Fern, Neil, and Wim, and KB believe that they're finally going home. This was such a great moment to see the kids kind of relaxing. But as they approach Atten, the pirate frigate, but led by Brutus, intercepts their ship. Jod Nanawood, a cunning and ambitious pirate, seizes the opportunity to overthrow Brutus and take control of the frigate and the kids' ship. Jod's charisma and ruthlessness shine as he manipulates his crew, executes Brutus, which was beautiful, and takes the kids hostage. His true goal was to exploit the Onyx Cinder's ability to bypass the barrier and plunder at Atten's legendary mint. Am I the only one that was shocked that the Wolfman went out like a bitch? I mean, that was quick and easy and brutal. Was I the only one that was surprised by that?
Honestly, it kind of worked for me. Like, he was built up.
Oh, it worked.
Then,
but yeah.
Go ahead, Chaka.
It was surprising, because I honestly wanted a duel between, like, in my mind, I saw the lightsaber reveal as a duel where he uses it to take down Brutus, and like that's what I wanted in my head. But what we got is more pirate like. It's more ruthless and it's more full. And I think it actually better suits the heel turn for the character of Jod, of letting us know. Because I think he's done a fantastic job of showing us as like a reluctant drunk uncle who's like taking the kids to the park or something. He might try to kill these kids, like it shows the ruthlessness that either is a heel turn or was always there. We don't know which Jod is the real Jod. And I don't know if Jod knows which Jod is the real Jod.
Yep.
Great point. And it also had, this show seems to have just been such a great, amalgamation of 80s things, 90s things, other pop culture things. It has a little bit of like modern Pirates of the Caribbean movies of like, who's in charge? No, you're in charge. No, I'm in charge. Like, we have a mutiny and then it changes. And same thing. Like he stands there, he shoots and he's like, really? Is this what you want to do? And they're like, you know what? Turns out, no, we don't. And it's flopping around.
Yep.
I'm almost waiting for someone to go parlay.
Yeah, right.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Parlay. Yeah, the parlay gig back and back, or the gimmick back and forth. So they're aboard the Onyx Cinder. Jod and his crew intercept the parents' holographic message. We get that buoy. It gets up. The heartfelt recording reassures the children of their parents' love, warns them about the dangers of the barrier, and crucially, it provides a clue. The Republic emissary is the key to navigating safely through the barrier. Inspired by their courage, the parents' courage, the kids fight back. SM-33, their loyal droid ally, takes out several pirates, allowing the children to escape on board the Cinder. In a thrilling chase through the barrier, the ship narrowly avoids destruction by satellites. They emerge on the other side, and finally, At-Atten is back. It's revealed that beautiful world inside this kind of hollow, gas giant barrier, that whole kind of thing. They think they're home, and then they're not.
Yeah. I saw there was some typical sort of Twitter conversation. Somebody was like, well, how does the sun get through this? No, it's Star Wars. Like bricks and screws, fires in space, noise in space. It's Star Wars. Just enjoy that. Take that in. I thought it was very well done. But their relief is short-lived because Jod, who is stowed away aboard the Cinder, reveals a blue lightsaber and swiftly eliminates SM-33. He forces the children to accompany him to Atten's surface, posing as a Republic emissary. Jod's deception fools the planet's droids, granting him access to the Mint, a vault of unimaginable wealth. And meanwhile, the parents have been detained for violating Atten's security protocols, and they watch as the Onyx Cinder lands. I love the way it opened up, and it's my sense that this hasn't happened for 100 years because nobody who was picnicking on that green lawn had any idea that they were about to open up to a landing platform.
They're like, oh shit, the ground opens up?
Wait, what? And an emotional reunion, the children and their parents do embrace, only for a moment, because Jod emerges and ignites his lightsaber after he has seen the treasure of At-Atten, and it is in his grasp. And with their homeworld and their loved ones at risk, the stage is now set for this final high stakes episode. Yes, we skimmed through the top details. We figured you've probably watched it. We did see you mentioned it, Chaco, this heel turn from Jod. What's your thoughts? Where is he? It's again funny to watch Twitter and social media just turn on him like bad milk. They hate him now. He cannot be redeemed. Is Jod a bad guy, or what's going on with him? What's your and I love, by the way, before we get too deep into this, if you're not following Darth Chaco on TikTok, and I think you're also on Instagram and on Twitter, you give these, I love your little 60-second conversations and perspectives.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on, and tell us where everybody can find that before we forget to do that at the end. So tell us now where they can follow you on social media before we forget.
Yeah, so TikTok is going to be going away. So
yeah, right.
which my primary place. So most of new content is going to end up being here on YouTube. I think that's going to be my go-to.
Cool.
But so Darth Chaco on YouTube, also Darth Chaco IG on Instagram, also on Blue Sky, and I largely avoiding Twitter because it's wild out there.
Yep.
But
right, understood.
I'm around. Just follow me wherever. But
excellent
with John, I think it's that's one of my complaints of like we need more episodes, because I don't see how they can give us what we need and wrap everything up in a bow in a single episode. With what they've given us, I mean, I guess from one standpoint, we know roughly what the kids know, and that makes us kind of anxious because he really does seem like a massive threat to him. On the other hand, the backstory I've written in my head was that he's a youngling that left the Order. And I actually don't want him to be an Order 66 survivor. I want him to have just left on his own accord prior to them, because you didn't have to become a Jedi. You could leave anytime you wanted. And so I would like to have, because I feel like all the characters have had their kind of episode, and I think him and Wim, it would be really interesting narratively if they had this crossing where, Wim is craving this adventure and he wants to be a Jedi because he wants to help people. If you have someone who was raised to be a Jedi and said, I can't live up to this, I'm going to go do my own thing, you could have an interesting story of him looking through Wim's eyes and seeing the love of the thing that he left, that he didn't respect, and maybe using that to make a better choice. Either way, I foresee him trying to escape, and I see Neil pulling a fat turret out of the schoolyard and shooting him down before he makes it. That's what I see happening.
So many Chekhov's guns, and every single one has been paid off. And you're absolutely right. That is one that I've forgotten about, but you're right. It's at the top of the school. There's couldn't have been
Neil knows where it is and how to use it.
Yep. There's a definite reason why Hana showed him where it was, right? So that I love that. Even if maybe it's against the pirate ship or something, but I want Neil on the gun. That would be great. But you kind of hit toward my theory, which I'll share in a minute, as to how it ends. But I think I think I might modify it based a little bit on what you just said, but I like where you're going with that. Nick, what do you think? Is Jod, is he the villain, or is he the lovable pirate, or what's the story with him?
I think, and I'm sure this is the eternal optimist in me, this is the dad who's watched this guy, be mean to some little kids, in this episode, and he makes Wim cry. He kind of, he laid it down. He was like, this is the flaw with each of you. This is your deal. This is the thing. I want it, I kind of want him to be Willy Wonka, and I think you used that term, last week or at some point. I want it ultimately to be, he's going to come through in the end. He's going to have that moment, or one of the kids, despite the way he's done, so far, is going to do something nice for him at the beginning of this next episode, and it's going to pull on those heartstrings, and he's going to have a change. So I don't think he's the bad guy. That then begs the question, who is the bad guy? Because Star Wars has bad guys. Is it the supervisor, who we don't know, the voice behind the curtain? But I don't know. I mean, it would be awesome, honestly, if he is just straight up the bad guy, because we don't always do that. And that gives you Empire kind of ending, a Last Jedi kind of ending, to go, hey, it's not a happy ending. It's, yeah, this guy kind of was a dick, and that's the way it goes.
You know, to me, it almost feels like the villain has been just what they've run into along the way, because it's my sense. I believe the Willy Wonka thing. So I'll give a little bit of my screw it. Well, I'll put it all out there. I'll put it out there. I don't care. I want to hear from you. And if you're on
coming in,
and if you're watching, I want to hear from you. I want you to dial in. We have our good friend Eric, who's already dialed in. I want you to dial in and tell us what you think, or leave us a voicemail. There's again another Chekhov's gun that was left was at the beginning of the episode. Wim says, I still have to take my assessment. So I believe that this is Wim's assessment, and I feel like somehow Jod or Snowball, I'll get to that. This is his trial, and I feel like at the end of this episode, at the end of this series, somehow Wim and SM-33 and Snowball will go off in the Onyx Cinder and protect At-Aten, which is where he could show up in the Filoni verse with protecting At-Aten from Thrawn. There could be a connection there, but I would love this whole thing to have been his test. Once he found the ship, once he turned it on, and Snowball and SM-33 realized that this kid has figured out this trick. He's inherited Wonka's factory, and it's his job now to see if he can survive and figure out the mystery and get there. And it's sort of that concept of maybe it's the friends we made along the way, and so the role that Fern and Neil and KB play maybe expanded in that. So
just real quick, one thing that just makes me think of is at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, on stage, they announced we finished shooting Skeleton Crew. And that was the first time I had ever heard of it. And they had finished. So that's why when you look at the kids now, they're all older and stuff. So I would love to see something like what you described, but I want all the kids, right? Once At-Aten gets discovered, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? I would love to see, because especially in the last episodes, we got to see the kids working together. We got to see them with an engineer, a captain, a pilot, and a gunner. And I want to see them realize that, because this whole show was based off of the, and that Chekhov's gun, him saying, I still have to take my assessment.
Yep.
He doesn't want to grow up. That's been his story throughout this entire thing. And
correct.
What are pirates but big kids? You know what I mean? Which is why there's a similarity between pirate code and just saying unclaimsies, because they're so stupid and childish. And so, but what's happening on At-Aten, I think, is also the enemy, right? It's pure conformity. And I don't think there's anyone at the top. This is something that was scripted a long time ago. And they're just doing this thing just to do this thing. So I would love to see, because he wants to help people. They have a ship, they have a mini crew. I want to see, a little time jump to where they're, kind of teenagers, and they're using the wealth of this planet to help people around the galaxy. That's what I want.
Well, and I think that's one of the big challenges with this show right now. And again, it's so important that they land this plane. This show has to end at 8 episodes. And if they do more, it can pick up from there, but we can't leave things dangling, because to your point, now the Lothcat is out of the bag. There's a planet with 1,139 vaults full of credits, so much wealth that this would ruin the galactic economy if this got out there. And it's a really interesting, which is why I think we all thought, well, this is going to have some sort of connection to the First Order and building, the Final Order, and and maybe that's where it goes, and maybe that's how it happens. But how do they leave this with a positive feeling, right? And how do they do? Because I'm with you, Chaco. Wim is truly the Luke Skywalker of this series, right? Doesn't love his life, wants adventure, wants it, but now that he's seen it, you know, it's the classic hero's journey. Now that he comes home, he needs to bring that home with him, and what is he going to do with it, and how is he going to elevate that? Nick, we didn't get your thoughts. How does this series end?
I honestly have no idea. I think it has to end on. I think at this point, and basically with the rumors that we heard, you know, in that news story, it ends on some version of the kids are in a good place. I don't think we end with, you know, an Empire Strikes Back ending for the kids themselves.
Right.
But it ends in a way that, yes, it could be season 2, or it can jump over to the Filoni movie with some version of something. The thing that stuck with me based on what the two of y'all just said, excuse me, is these kids out doing good in the galaxy. I said for a bunch of years that the Bad Batch was supposed to be Star Wars A-Team. Maybe Skeleton Crew is teenage Star Wars A-Team, and they go out into the galaxy and, you know, heroes for hire, flying around in the Onyx Cinder. Throw a red stripe on there like the A-Team band. Like, let's make that happen. I'm all about that. Like, let these kids go out. And honestly, it also feels a little bit like Young Jedi Adventures. You've got kids in a spaceship flying around doing some things. Like, there feels like some synergy there that I hadn't considered before. But, you know, empower these kids to go out and do some things and help, because they've left the safety of the planet that they grew up in this bubble like everybody else did. They've seen what's outside of it. You know, it's the joke we made I think after the first episode, what's outside of Pleasantville? You know, they've gone outside of Pleasantville. They're back now.
Yes.
And now they get to go out and go, oh, we know some shit. We've had some experiences. Let's, you know, do what we can do. So I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm really excited to find out.
Yeah, and I think
give him that lightsaber.
Yes,
he needs to redeem himself.
I have a different note for that, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, because I've seen a couple different perspectives, and I've disagreed with most people who I've disagreed with one perspective. Is Jod Jin? That's Urso. Is Jod? Is he force sensitive? Is he a former Jedi, or is he using tricks like Nanjani did from Camille did in Kenobi? What are your thoughts, Chaco?
I think he's definitely force sensitive. The reason I said I believe him to be a Padawan who's left the Order is because of the limits of what he's done. He hasn't done any extensive training. He kind of does what is still natural to him. A scene that comes to mind is when Smeeb starts going off, you know, limb from limb, and he dives over to flip the switch. And then the question is, why didn't he just do that with the Force? Right. I don't think he can. Yeah, so it's easier to force push something over than it is to do small and very precise manipulations. I don't think he ever got to that level, you know. Additionally, I don't think he wants people to know he's force sensitive, because you know, there's a bounty on your ass, and you gotta. Pirates aren't known for being super charitable.
Yeah. I mean, he did use the Force to get the handcuffs off.
The handcuffs off. Yeah.
The best description, I think it was New Rockstar, said it was very similar to in Justice League. I think it was where, or maybe it was Batman v Superman, where Superman's wearing the handcuffs the whole time, and they didn't do anything. I mean, he knew he could just take them off. And same thing with Jod. He just, you know, when he needed them off, he did it. So I like that, and I think that's part of the really interesting intrigue about Jod is. He clearly, I don't think it's tricks. I think he does have the Force. I'm with you on that.
I think he does too.
And that's a very interesting thing. Why isn't he using it? I mean, he's a pirate. A pirate with the Force. I mean, Hondo Ohnaka wanted Ezra to be a pirate with the Force forever. So I think it is really interesting.
His greatest strength has been not letting anyone know who he is. That's why he has a dozen names and aliases, and he's known as different things. And the more you can keep that under wraps, like I think if he was fully out there as a force sensitive pirate, you know, you can't really have aliases because you're like, no, you're the Force guy. I've heard of you. You know,
we know you. Yep, for sure. Well, let's quickly go through some of the Easter eggs, and then we're going to bring in some calls, and we'll keep this conversation going.
All right, I have before we get to it, this is we'll call it my Easter egg maybe.
Okay.
Chaco talked about, I think you said, Wim with the lightsaber. Here's what I need. I need Neil with the lightsaber. That's the thing I want before this. You talked about the turret. I want Neil with the lightsaber. I want there to be a moment where he stands up and goes, no. And we get that little blue badass just rocking it, ready to go. That's the one I want. So,
I mean, you saw what his dad looks like, and if you had a Jedi that looks like that, holy crap, that'd be amazing. I'm into it.
Yep. You're sitting down. Yeah.
But again, so let's call that a Chekhov's gun. He was he fought with his quote unquote lightsaber with Wim in the very first episode, right? While they were waiting for the bus. So
let's do it. Yep.
They've made those.
I want Neil with the light. Neil Nation on social media will lose their mind.
Oh my God,
if
they'll be unbearable. They will be,
and that's fine. I will join. I will lead the parade. Mark it down right now. Send me a picture of Neil with a lightsaber that I can hang on my wall, and I'll do it.
I'm gonna make one for you out of my
there
Photoshop skills. Okay, so a handful of things, and Chaco and Nick, let me know if I missed anything. I mean, the deeper we get into the show, the fewer and fewer Easter eggs there are, but that's the way. I think that's actually good. I mean, there's a ton of Easter eggs. There's probably a million things that we missed in the background, but a couple things I noticed. Jod's stance when he ignites the lightsaber in front of the parents, or in front of the kids rather, very Anakin. In the child murder scene from Revenge of the Sith. The pirate snub fighters were the ones that we saw in Mandalorian season 3. It was so funny. I was watching it with my son.
They look so cool.
Oh, they are. They're the coolest looking fighters. Ship. And my son said while we're watching it, my 12-year-old, he said, "Didn't we build one of those out of Lego?" I was like, "You're right. Those are the ships. That's the one right there."
And that was the one that when we watched Mando season 3, I don't think we were doing a recap show or anything, but I texted you when that scene was over, when Vane got away.
Yep.
I said to him, we're going to see him again. And I knew that was coming back. That was one of the few times I've called it and got it right.
you have to live in those moments, man. They don't happen often. We have to
own the ones I get.
Have to own them. Yep. Neil's mom almost said, "I have a bad feeling about this." She said, "I have a bad feeling," and then she was zapped. My favorite one, because, and it's the last one I have, is that Stephen Fry is the voice of the supervisor. And for me, I know he's done a million things, but for me, Stephen Fry is the voice of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which ties into my belief that Snowball is the key to everything. Snowball is connected somehow to either the supervisor or TAC or both. I put up a little social media clip this morning about, it was very deliberate that John didn't step on him or throw him when they made it very clear, another Chekhov's gun, that he just sort of swept him off to the side with his foot. That's CGI resources. You don't do that unless there's a reason you need to know that this little rat is still alive. So I don't know what the connection is, but I believe he's the key to everything. I just don't know what that is.
So that scene is the one thing that makes me think that Jod is redeemable.
Yes.
Because how humans treat animals and droids
100%.
determines whether or not they're good or bad.
Yep. I agree with that. Yep.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Just a quick side note. The amount of volts that there was 1139, which is one more than THX 138, which is a similar plot to what's happening on At-Aten. So wanted to add that Easter egg.
So here's what I decided with the 1139. And this is going to be the most extreme reach, and I hope nobody else has made this connection. I hope we can put this on social media. It's 1138 plus one more. And if you've ever seen Spinal Tap, that amp goes to 11. It's not 10. It goes to 11 because it's one more. So this vault, 1139, this is the Star Wars Spinal Tap moment. I'm calling it right now.
I love that. Well, why don't you just make 10 louder? Well, this goes to 11.
Nope, goes to 11.
Awesome. Also, I don't know that it's actually an Easter egg or not, but when I first saw the inside of the vault, I was like, oh, you could hide the Ark of the Covenant in there. It
Very
felt,
Ark of the Covenant coded.
Felt like Indiana Jones involved hiding stuff, you know.
I do have to say that was the only scene in this entire series so far that felt to me like the volume. I felt like it was on Escape from Gringotts Vault from down in Orlando. I don't know if you had a chance to ride that in Orlando Universal Studios. I felt like I was in a ride more than in
I
the
thought
show.
It felt like Polar Express when they started. The credits started spilling on top of him. There's that moment I was like, "Is this Polar Express?" Like it felt a little too. That's like you said. It's the first time the show there felt like I felt the CGI.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, we do have at least one caller on the line, and let's bring him in. All right. Well, we have, of course, a little bumper when we want to bring in a caller, and this is a caller that we've had before. He's back to bringing his streak to life. Here he is.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
There he is,
Eric.
Honest to Claude. Eric, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. See, we have Pete Rock, we have Nick Ross, and we have ASAP Chalky.
Yep.
What's going on, dude?
Love it.
I'm doing all right. I really enjoy this episode. You know, what was it? John, his reaction to seeing the data is, you know, he's going from this lowly old poor pirate to Mansa Musa in like a couple seconds is one of my favorite parts of this show, period, and it's favorite acting for the show. But I have something more important to talk about. I have a conspiracy.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So, you know Shakti?
Yes.
The only real Shakti in Legends is the one that shows up in Force Unleashed. The other two that we see die are clones.
Really? Where's Chaco? I'm going to throw that to you. You're a lore. You're more of a lore guy.
I say you're the lore king.
I kind of
don't
backed
have
out on that one.
anything to add to this.
I mean that was the in continuity death for her, so I'm into it.
Well, we see 3 deaths, and obviously those deleted scenes are a bit wishy-washy of continuity, obviously.
Right.
But I feel like you can still make it work by establishing that Shakti had a romantic relationship with Sifo Dyas.
What?
And what Jango Fett wanted as like him helping out the Kaminoans was an unauthorized clone. What he wanted was the love of his life reanimated because she just died. Because she just keeps dying.
I want you to write more fan fiction.
And you're probably like wondering, like, why am I saying this? I'm just like, think about how different her depiction is in The Force Unleashed. She's a different girl. Like, there's no way she would dress up like that in the other versions we see of her. Like, she's way more modest and reserved.
Okay.
Like a Kaminoan.
But is there a connection between?
It's hot on Felucia. It's hot on Felucia.
Is there?
No,
I mean,
I still think of her as like, you know, she would be dressed up like a Catholic nun in South America. She just would bear through it. She would use her force abilities to help keep herself cool. But no, this version of Shakti, she's dressed up like a Final Fantasy character.
Okay, have I missed a Shakti Sifo Dyas connection somewhere? Is that canon anywhere?
No.
No,
Right.
he disappears 10 years beforehand.
You have to make the link yourself, man.
No, I love making the leap. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like based in something that I wasn't aware of.
Pete's trying to protect his fan card. Should he be turning that in right now?
That's right. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have my fan card revoked. But all right, so real quick.
I mean, obviously you have your comic reader card revoked.
Yeah. God knows that.
I don't know that he was ever assigned one.
Yeah, nope, never had it. Yeah,
Back in the 90s.
Yes.
Back when his hair was nice and dark.
Well, we do have another call coming. My hair was never dark. It was a beautiful blonde. All right. On that note, Eric, we are going to let you go. We will see you next week, I hope. And I want to hear what you think about the end of Skeleton Crew when we get there. So, dude, take it easy.
Yep.
Peace. He's still there. Oh, there he goes. Okay. Love when Eric calls. I usually don't know what's going to happen.
No idea what to expect.
I'm always glad he's there. But hey, we do have another caller. Here we go.
Patch him through.
Hi, I'm holding for General Hux.
This is Hux.
Okay, I'll hold.
Hello?
Hello? Yep, I'm still here.
Look who it is, Mr. Chris Ryan.
There it is.
There he is.
Mr. Star Wars figures himself.
Hey, Chris, I needed
Look
to
at that
ask
handsome man.
At Proaxium Outpost, do you have Black Series action figures?
I have a couple.
Okay. All right.
Not like in a huge amount. It's not what I based the store after.
Your voice went up at the end there, like there was a question.
So what are we doing? Are we talking Skeleton Crew? Are we talking?
We were,
yeah.
We are talking Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew if we can.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
We're talking about Sifo-Dyas's harem of clones.
Who knew? Who knew?
Man,
I had no idea. No idea.
I love that episode in Skeleton Crew when they talked about that.
Sifo-Dyas's harem of Shock T's.
That's in Vault 1140.
Yeah. They'll dip into more of that in season 4. It's coming. It's coming.
So what are your thoughts? Where are you going with this?
As far as the finale goes? Like how it's going to end up? Or the series as a whole?
Any of it.
The floor is yours, Mr. Ryan.
The floor is yours.
For the series as a whole, as an 80s kid, love it. Absolutely love it. I love the there are people who couldn't get attached to these kids. They it took them 5-6 episodes. I'm like, I was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
I felt for these kids. I especially, I feel like I got a little bit of both Wim and Neil in me a bit. And even Fern and KB to an extent, all of them. But the way that those kids were at the bus stop playing lightsabers, I've done that.
Yeah.
I just did that. Last month. I'll be 50 in a couple of weeks. It's like everything about this show, it is literally a sleeper hit. I did after Acolyte, I kind of was like, I'll watch Skeleton Crew when it comes out. Because I was just a little upset with Lucasfilm and the way they handle things. And Skeleton Crew has been like this. Like if you're a comic reader, it was a sleeper hit like the way Marvel Zombies was. It came out and it just blew everything away. And it is a special series, and I hope this continues with them as teens or whatever going forward.
Let me ask a question, because I think there was something that was interesting that came up when I was on Screen Crush.
Shock T.
It's Shock T. Would she hook up with Wendell? No. A point that was brought up. I think she might.
I can totally see it.
That's season 2. When I was on Screen Crush yesterday, they brought up if this show had come out before Acolyte, if it would have done better, or they didn't have an answer. It was just a comment, which I thought was interesting. Or would Acolyte have been received differently? Because this is, as I put it, this is the most Star Wars show to ever Star Wars, I think, other than maybe Mandalorian. Do you think it might have been received a little bit differently?
I don't think it would have mattered. Whatever's good is what people like, they like, and what they don't like, they don't like.
Right.
So
fair.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered when it came out as far as that was concerned. I
kind of have a small disagreement with that. I feel like there was a kind of a drought, a content drought, with nothing but the Acolyte on the horizon for months. And so I think if that content drought was leading to Skeleton Crew, the hate train wouldn't have been months long, and I think we could have gotten at least I don't know, a more intelligent reception at first. I don't know.
So instead of like 100% hate, it'd be like 94% hate, because these guys still would have found a way to hate on this show. Come on, just come on.
Just yeah.
I'm not trying to go there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys like. I put in the chat. I put a prediction in there that I have for the finale.
Oh, let's hear it. Yeah.
And I hate to be like, oh, this guy's going to show up and that guy's going to show up, but it would make sense because there's no coming back for Jod. As far as I'm concerned, there's no coming back for that.
You
dude.
don't think so? Interesting.
No coming back.
Twitter hates him so.
So I think that the Republic is going to send Mando to come in and take care of these pirates. Like if they're going to bring these kids or this cast and this show into the Mandoverse and maybe into this movie,
I like that.
Time I think to do that is to have him show up at the end, and either Mando's there to fight him, and then like if he starts using Force stuff, which I know he's not that skilled with outside of like pulling stuff here and there, you've got Grogu there to kind of balance that. Or since there's now another Force user in the Republic, not so much Luke, but Ezra, they could both be going there to handle the pirates and to handle Jod.
If I see Neil holding Grogu, I will cease to exist.
The world will.
Yeah.
Star Wars Twitter will evaporate.
Yeah, it's too much.
Neil holds.
That's
Grogu.
too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Matthew says there's a 77.2% chance of that. You know what? I think
I like those odds.
And I'm only willing to accept that if they're escorted in an X-wing by Carson Teva. Like,
yes,
that's all
there's
I need.
There's been a shocking lack of that dude, but we don't know where in the New Republic era this is, do we? Like, there's no.
Well, I think it's
no set time.
The assumption is that it's the same time as the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
All right, because of the one pirate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it would make sense. What you're saying makes sense because Carson Teva did sort of negotiate with Mando at the end of season 3. Hey, we may call you for a little help, and if they are going to perhaps bring some of this crew into the movie that
freestyle policing, as it were,
yeah, they could start to plant some of those seeds. That'd be very interesting. That'd be interesting.
I mean, there's been X-wings that have been tracking them down this entire time. Who's to say? Right. That Zeb isn't one of those pilots.
Oh man,
I'll take it.
There we go.
Just Star Wars it up on that last episode. Do it.
That's right.
Did
push
Kim,
all the tips into the middle of the table?
Did Kim put some sort of tracker on the Onyx Cinder? I mean, because she found them at La Puna or whatever it is, or Lanupa. That was it.
Lanupa. Or maybe KB.
Yeah, KB and Kim are man,
pen pals. Yeah.
I like this. Matthew, now you're just playing with Chris.
Come on now, stop that. That would be amazing. I'll take that too.
Lando shows up and kicks off Lando.
Ahsoka falls out of a wormhole, boom, right into the whole thing. Let it happen.
Yeah,
let it happen.
Oh
so
man,
it's just like like an Avengers type thing. Yeah, I'll take it.
This is what happens when we take phone calls on. But no, but I do like that. I think it would be very cool. It would be a unique way to do it. So, any final
did just
thoughts?
Make me think.
Go ahead, Chaka.
Oh, you did just make me think of one thing though, because I can definitely see, especially if these are connected, I can see a world in which that technology that's being used to hide the planet to create an artificial gas giant that's hollow surrounding it. Beautiful scene, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see Thrawn finding out about that technology and using it to his advantage. And in one of the books, what was it? Was it Visions of no, sorry. in the Thrawn trilogy, he has a whole bunch of Star Destroyers that are waiting inside of like an invisible field.
Yeah.
He's now we just set up that technology to do that. Just going to start a conflict next to a gas giant, and all of a sudden a bunch of Star Destroyers are just going to fly out of it.
I can actually, I can almost in my head hear Thrawn saying, like, I don't need the credits. I just need the technology. And like, that's like all he like, because he wouldn't care about that, right? He just would want, oh man. Yeah. There are definitely, hey, Fanboy Cantina, thanks for stopping in. I can definitely see. So, but that to me is the biggest challenge with this show. And we'll wrap up here. The biggest challenge with the show is if there's a planet that literally has, almost 1,139 vaults full of credits, that screws up the entire galaxy. So something has to happen where either A, this planet is destroyed, or B, it is again forgotten about, because or C, and this is the somehow Palpatine returned. Palpatine gets his hands on this and uses it to make the First Order, right?
That's the one.
Yeah,
bankrolling it.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yep. So, well, that is it for this week here on ATG Live and Beyond the Barrier. Chaco, thank you so much for joining us. Chris, it was great to see you back on the screen with us.
You too,
and of course, Eric, and all of you hung out with us in the chat and hung out with us on Twitter. Guys, if you're on Twitter, most of the time we can't see what you have to say, so please come on over to YouTube and like, subscribe, share, blah blah blah. We are now we're a monetized channel. I don't know how that happened. We're big boys now. We're influencers. Pretty soon we'll be grifters.
We finally got that email too. I've been on the fence with doing it, but yeah, we finally got that email too.
I'm planning an entire series on how Kathleen Kennedy is killing Star Wars. That should be going up in just a couple days. Got to make that grifter money. But so make sure to please like, subscribe, share, rate, review, share it with all your friends and family. We know that a lot of you like when we do these kind of review shows, so tell somebody about it. Make sure to follow our good friend Darth Chaco on all of the social medias if you like the deep lore, the opinions. You have, Chaco, I have to say, you have hot takes that are not like so outrageous. They're based in fact, and there's something about the way you present that you could get up there and be like, listen, I think Palpatine was right. Then we'd be like, yeah,
you know
he's
what?
right.
He's on
makes
something
sense.
here.
I think he's right. So make sure to follow Chaco for some of the best content out there. And of course, go to Bro Axiom Outpost. If you're going to buy a Black Series figure, a Funko Pop, He-Man, whatever you're buying, comics.
Why are you going to the big guys? Right. They don't need your money.
No. Do you realize if you were to buy 5 Black Series figures from Target, that covers, that's nothing for them. 5 Black Series figures for Bro Axiom Outpost, that's a good day. That's a good day for these guys. So go check them out. Help out our friend Chris. As I said before, and I'm going to make the shirt for you, Chris. You're going to buy this shit anyway. Go do it for Chris.
I will wear it every day.
We have 51 people watching on Twitter right now. If you're going to buy something, go to broaxiomoutpost.com right now.
Use the promo code ATG10 for 10% off.
10. We just raised it. It's like Potathon. We just hit the 10%. ATG10. Go out there and buy some stuff and get 10% off. Yeah. Hey, Target's not going to give you 10% off, and they're going to ship it like garbage.
Pete,
so
just for your cosplay needs, I still got that Balin Skull Force Effect Saber coming in. Just saying. It's up there for pre-order with a whole bunch of other stuff.
You know you got my money. You know I'm coming to you. So. Actually, I'm serious. On a side note, Chris, in February, our friends at Screen Crush are doing a show live in Philly.
Yeah,
I'm going to come down, and maybe you and I can go and head over to that together. So it's a whole other story.
What day is that happening?
I'm not sure. I don't even know what today is. So we'll figure it out.
I just know it's Thursday.
Is it a Thursday? Oh no, today's Thursday.
Right.
It's ATG Live. It's Thursday. Well, with that, Nick, Sorry, this has fallen completely out of my control. Nick, may the force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.